there's a number they don't want you to see. A number so big, so catastrophic, that if you truly understood what it meant, you'd never look at your retirement plan the same way again. $20 trillion? That's not the national debt. That's not the money supply. That's something far more personal. It's far more immediate. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why that number means your retirement, the one you've been promised, the one you've been working toward your entire life, is nothing but a mathematical impossibility. But before I show you that number and what it really means, I need to show you 3 things that are happening right now. 3 things that, when you connect them, reveal the biggest financial lie ever told to the working class. Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you in the next 15 minutes will completely change how you think about your future. Look, I know what you're thinking. Another video telling me the sky is falling, another doomsday prediction. But here's the thing. I'm not going to make predictions. I'm going to show you math. Undeniable math that anyone can verify. Numbers that are publicly available, but conveniently never discussed together. And the reason they're never discussed together is because when you actually connect the dots, the conclusion is inescapable. The retirement system as we know it is fundamentally broken. Not might break, not could have problems, is broken. It's right now today. By the end of this video, you'll know why that $20 trillion number means most people currently working will never actually retire, the 3 mathematical impossibilities built into every retirement system, why your 401k is worth less than you think, and it has nothing to do with market crashes, the exact year this all comes crashing down, and why it's sooner than you think, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it while there's still time. But first, let me tell you about Robert. Robert is 58 years old. He's been working since he was 16. Started at a factory, worked his way up, never missed a paycheck. Put money into his 401k every single month for 40 years. Lived modestly. Did everything right. His 401k statement shows $650,000. Not bad, right? Financial advisors told him he's on track. You'll be fine, they said. Just keep contributing. But here's what they didn't tell Robert. Here's what the calculators don't show. Here's the mathematical reality that makes that $650,000 essentially worthless for actual retirement. And Robert has no idea. None. He thinks he's 7 years away from retirement. He's already planning where he'll travel. It's what hobbies he'll finally have time for. And he doesn't know he's broke. He just doesn't know it yet. Let me show you the first crack in the system. It's the first mathematical impossibility that nobody talks about. The entire retirement system, Social Security, pensions, 401 kiloseconds. All of it is based on one fundamental assumption, that there will always be enough workers paying in to support the people taking out. It's a ratio game. Active workers supporting retired workers. In 1950, that ratio was 16:1. 16 workers paying taxes to support every one retiree collecting benefits. The system worked beautifully. In 1990, it was 3.4:1. Still manageable. Tight, but manageable today, it's approaching 2.5:1. And by 2030, just 6 years from now, it will be 2:1. 2 workers supporting one retiree. Now here's the question nobody wants to answer. What happens when that ratio hits 1:1? Or worse, what happens when there are more retirees than workers? Because that's exactly where we're headed. The math is undeniable. Birth rates are collapsing. The baby boomer generation is massive. Gen X is smaller. Millennials are having fewer kids. Gen Z is having even fewer. The pyramid is inverting. When it does, the entire system collapses. This isn't fear-mongering. This is demographic reality, but it gets worse. Because even if the worker-to-retiree ratio held steady, we still have another problem. A problem with an even bigger number. Social Security's own trustees, not conspiracy theorists, not doom and gloomers. The actual government trustees admit that Social Security has $20 trillion in unfunded liabilities. Let me break down what that means in plain English. Social Security has made promises. Promises to current retirees, promises to people about to retire, promises to people currently working. If you've paid into Social Security, they've promised you money when you retire. All those promises added up, $20 trillion more than the system has or will have. It's not that they might run short. It's not that there could be problems. They are mathematically, provably, undeniably $20 trillion short. Right now, that's not my number. That's their number. $20 trillion that doesn't exist, $20 trillion they promised you, $20 trillion they don't have. And here's the third impossibility, the one that ties everything together. Even if the ratio's held, even if they somehow found that $20 trillion, there's still one more problem: inflation. Remember Robert and his $650,000? Let's say he retires in 7 years as planned. Let's be generous and say inflation averages only 4% per year. In 7 years, that $650,000 will have the purchasing power of about $485,000 in today's dollars. Oust! He lost $165,000 without spending a dime, without making a single bad investment, just from inflation. Now let's say Robert lives another 25 years after retirement. If inflation continues at 4%, by the time he's 83, that original $650,000 will buy what $240,000 buys today. He saved $650,000, but he'll live like someone who saved $240,000, and that's assuming 4% inflation, assuming it doesn't spike, assuming no major crises, assuming the government keeps their promise to not devalue the currency faster. Big assumptions. Now you might be thinking, but people retired for generations. My grandparents retired. How is it possible then but not now? Great question. The answer reveals just how fundamentally things have changed. Your grandparents retired in a different system, a system where one income could support a family, houses cost 2 to 3 times annual salary, not 8 to 10 times. Pensions were actually funded and guaranteed. Social Security was a supplement, not the primary income. Medical costs weren't astronomical. Life expectancy was lower, harsh but true. The math worked then because all those variables were different. Today, you need 2 incomes to afford what 1 income bought. Houses are 4 to 5 times more expensive relative to wages. Pensions barely exist anymore. They've been replaced by 401 kiloseconds that shift all the risk to you. Social Security is now the primary retirement income for most people. Every single variable changed. But the promise stayed the same. Work hard, save money, and you'll have a comfortable retirement. That promise is now a lie. Not because of evil intent, but because of mathematical reality. So what will governments do when this becomes obvious? When millions of Roberts realize they can't actually retire? They have 3 options, only 3. Option 1, raise taxes dramatically. But on who? The working class is already stretched thin. The wealthy have ways to protect themselves. Raising political suicide for anyone who tries. Option 2, cut benefits. Also political suicide. No politician wants to tell 50 million voters they're getting less money than promised, but mathematically, it's inevitable. Benefits will be cut. They call it means testing or adjusting for inflation or ensuring long-term sustainability. But it's cuts. Option 3, inflate the currency. This is the path of least resistance. They'll keep their promise. Nominally, you'll get your check for $2,000 a month, or whatever they promised. But that $2,000 will buy what $800 buys today. You got your money? It's just worthless. Guess which option they're choosing? If you said option 3, congratulations, you're paying attention. They're already doing it. The money supply has exploded. Inflation is being understated in official numbers. And slowly, quietly, they're devaluing the promises but what about 401 kiloseconds? Surely your private retirement account is safe, right? Here's what they don't tell you about 401ks. Your 401k exists in the same economy as everything else. If the currency is being devalued, your 401k is being devalued with it. You might see the number go up $500,000 to $600,000 to $700,000, but if everything else goes up faster, you're actually getting poorer. It's like being on a cruise ship that's sinking. Sure, you made it to the upper deck. Congratulations, you're still on a sinking ship. Plus, 401 kiloseconds have another problem: required minimum distributions and taxes. At 72, you're forced to start withdrawing money whether you need it or not. And you pay taxes on those withdrawals. Taxes that will almost certainly be higher in the future than they are now because governments are desperate for revenue. So you saved money in a tax-deferred account, thinking you'd pay less taxes later. But later you're in a higher tax bracket, the government needs more money, and inflation made your savings worth less anyway. You played by their rules. and their rules were designed to extract maximum value from you while giving you minimum security. Let me paint you a picture of what this actually looks like in the real world. Not in 30 years, in the next 10 years. You're going to see people who did everything right, unable to retire. People in their late 60s, early 70s, still working not by choice but by necessity. You're going to see retirement ages pushed back. First to 70, then 72, then 75. They'll call it adjusting to longer life expectancy. But it's really adjusting to mathematical impossibility. You're going to see benefits cut, not announced dramatically, but eroded quietly through inflation. Through means testing, through cost of living adjustments that don't actually keep up with cost of living. You're going to see people with $500,000, $700,000, even $1 million in retirement accounts discover that number doesn't go as far as they thought, because everything costs more, because healthcare is astronomical, because inflation ate their purchasing power. And most tragically, you're going to see people who worked their entire lives, who saved, who sacrificed, end up dependent on their children or on government assistance anyway. The promise of retirement, broken. For millions of people, there's something deeply cruel about what's happening. And it's not just the financial aspect. Think about the psychological impact of working your entire adult life with a promise retire at 65, enjoy your golden years. You earned it only to discover at 64 that the promise was a lie. The bitterness, the betrayal, the rage. You played by their rules. You did everything they said. You believed the system would work for you because it worked for your parents. Then you discovered too late to do anything about it that the game was rigged from the start. This is going to create a generation of angry, broke seniors. People who should be enjoying the fruits of their labor instead, struggling to pay rent and afford medication. And young people watching this? They're not even pretending to believe in retirement anymore. They know it's not going to happen. They're not saving for retirement. They're just trying to survive. The social contract is broken. Nobody in power wants to admit it because admitting it means admitting they were complicit in the lie. So what do? How do you prepare for a retirement system that's fundamentally broken? Step 1. Stop believing the lie. Stop pretending that if you just save a little more, contribute a little more, wait a little longer, everything will work out. It won't. The math doesn't work. The system is broken. Hoping it fixes itself is delusional. Accept reality. The retirement your parents had? You're not getting that. The comfortable golden years you were promised. That's not happening under the current system. Accepting this isn't pessimistic. It's realistic. And only once you accept reality can you start planning for it. You need to completely reimagine what retirement means. Traditional retirement was work until 65, then stop working entirely, and live off savings and Social Security. That model is dead. The new model has to be create income streams that do and depend on your age or your ability to work a traditional job. This means build assets that generate passive income, real estate that cash flows, dividend-paying stocks, royalties from intellectual property, income that comes in whether you're 45 or 85. Develop skills that appreciate with age. Consulting, mentoring, specialized knowledge, things where being older is an advantage, not a disadvantage. Create geographic arbitrage. Maybe you can't afford to retire in California or New York, but you can retire comfortably in Portugal, Mexico, Thailand, where your dollars go 3 to 4 times further. Build community and family support systems, multi-generational living, shared resources. The nuclear family living separately was only possible during a brief period of American prosperity. That period is ending. Retirement, whoa, and be stopped working at 65. It will be. Gradually reduce hours while transitioning to lower stress income streams while living somewhere affordable. Not as sexy, but realistic. Here's what you need to do today, not tomorrow, today. If you're under 40, stop counting on Social Security. Assume it won't exist or will be worthless. Every dollar you can redirect from traditional retirement counts into assets that protect against inflation. Do it. Real estate, businesses, hard assets. Don't put all your faith in paper promises. If you're 40 to 55, you're in the danger zone. It's too young to retire soon, too old to completely rebuild. Aggressively diversify. Get out of bonds and cash-heavy positions. Increase your income now while you can. Consider side businesses. Build skills that will keep you employable into your 70s because you probably will need to work. If you're 55 plus, you need to make hard decisions now. If your retirement nest egg is enough, and be brutally honest about what enough means with inflation. You need to either drastically cut expected lifestyle or find ways to keep generating income. Consider moving somewhere cheaper. Consider part-time work. Consider renting out space in your home. And everyone, regardless of age, stop trusting official numbers. Calculate your own inflation rate. Calculate how much you'll actually need. Assume healthcare costs will be double what they project. Assume inflation will be higher than they claim. Plan for worst case, hope for best case. Here's something crucial that most people don't understand. Time is running out. It's not in some vague someday this will matter way. In a very real, very immediate way. The demographic shift is already locked in. Babies who were unborn in the 2000s and 2010s, and become workers in 2030s and 2040s. That's already decided. The unfunded liabilities aren't shrinking. They're growing every year. The political will to fix this doesn't exist. Every solution requires pain, and no politician wants to be associated with that pain. So the window to prepare is now, not later. Now, every year you wait is a year closer to the crisis, a year less to prepare, a year more of your wealth eroded by inflation. Before you think, maybe I'll just move to another country, understand, this is a global problem. Europe. Their demographics are even worse than America's. Japan. Already in crisis with more retirees than workers. China, facing a demographic catastrophe from their one-child policy. This isn't an American problem. This is a developed world problem. Developing countries don't have the infrastructure to support their aging populations at all. There's no escape geographically. The entire global retirement system is based on assumptions that no longer hold true. The only question is which countries will handle the crisis better or worse, but everyone will handle it badly. It's just a question of degree. Here's something that should make you angry. While ordinary people are being told their retirement is at risk, while the system is mathematically broken, the wealthy are doing just fine. Why? Because they're not dependent on the system. They don't count on Social Security. They don't have most of their wealth in 401 kiloseconds. They own assets that appreciate with inflation. They have multiple income streams. They have geographic flexibility. This crisis will be the largest wealth transfer in human history. From the middle class to the upper class. From savers to asset owners. From workers to capital holders. And it's happening right now. While you, being told to just keep contributing to your 401,000 and trust the system, the people who actually understand the system are positioning themselves to profit from its collapse. I need you to understand something. I'm not telling you this to scare you. I'm telling you this because you deserve to know the truth. You've spent your entire life being told a story. Story about how, if you work hard, save money, and follow the rules, you'll be rewarded with a comfortable retirement. That story was true for your grandparents. It might have even been true for your parents. But it's not true for you. The math has changed. The system has changed. The rules have changed. And continuing to follow old rules in a new game is financial suicide. I'm going to give you homework. Specific actions to take this week. Day 1. Calculate your actual retirement number. It's not what some calculator tells you. Your real number. How much will you need per month? Multiply by 12. Multiply by 30 years. Add 50% for inflation. Yeah, that's your real target. How close are you? Be honest. Day 2. Look at your current retirement accounts.
Oh.
What's the actual purchasing power if inflation continues? What if it gets worse? Run the numbers. Face reality. Day 3. Research one alternative income stream you could start building now, not someday. Now, what skill could you monetize? What asset could you acquire? What business could you start? Day 4. Have a conversation with your family, your spouse, your kids, whoever. We need to talk about retirement. Share what you learned. Plan together. Day 5. Make one concrete change. Money from a low-yield savings account into something that keeps pace with inflation. Start the process of developing a new skill. Research geographic arbitrage options. Do something. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Don't assume you have time. You're at a crossroads. One path. Pretend you didn't watch this video. Go back to believing the system will work out. Keep doing what you've always done. Hope for the best. A path leads to Robert. 58 years old, thinking he's secure, not realizing until it's too late that the numbers don't work. The other path. Accept the uncomfortable truth. Make hard changes now. Position yourself for the reality that's coming, not the fantasy you were promised. Act. That path is harder. It requires work. It requires changing your plans. It requires accepting that the game is rigged, but it's the only path that gives you a real chance. A promise they know they can't keep, but a promise they'll keep pretending they can keep until the system breaks. Can't fix the system. You're not going to wait for politicians to suddenly develop fiscal responsibility, but you can fix your own situation. You can prepare, you can adapt, you can position yourself to survive what's coming. Robert doesn't know it yet, but in 7 years, he's not going to retire, he's going to have a crisis. A fundamental reckoning with the fact that the numbers don't work. Don't be Robert. Understand what I've shown you in this video. Accept it. Act on it. The retirement system is broken. It's not going to be fixed. Pretending otherwise is the most expensive mistake you can make. You still have time to prepare. But that time is measured in years, not decades. The $20 trillion lie isn't coming. It's already here. The only question is, are you going to keep believing it, or are you going to do something about it? The choice is yours.